Hey, Courtney, do you have Do you have screen sharing privileges? I
Yeah,
think you do.
yeah, I start recording.
Okay, perfect.
Where would I see that? Sorry. Oh,
A little green button in the middle, I think.
yeah. Should I go ahead and pull up the presentation or?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
All
Yeah, I
right.
think so.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Noah Kuranga. I am a fourth year at the University of Georgia. In this Toastmasters meeting, I will be your sergeant at arms. I will open and close the meeting. It's amazing to see everyone back here, including our new individuals. And before I go any further, can I have someone read the mission statement, which is on the bottom left corner of our agenda?
I can go ahead and say no. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth.
Thank you so much, Tricia. With that being said, I just want to say once again, thank you for everyone coming out to the meeting. It means a lot to us. It's just a great student organization just to make you more confident and improve your public speaking skills. And so today I will be your sergeant at arms and I'll open and close the meeting, and I will also be your general evaluator. I'll just evaluate the entire meeting. So with that being said, I will pass it on to our president, Slate Nations.
Thank you, Noah. As he said, I am president of UGA Toastmasters this year, and I'm so excited to welcome you all here to our second meeting of the fall and our first one after the involvement fair. I'm glad to see a few faces from the involvement fair. And I just can't wait to share the joys of Toastmasters with you. As Noah started to say, it's really all about becoming a better speaker and leader in a judgment-free zone. And it's while having fun and making friends at the same time. So I hope you guys, through experiencing this meeting, whether it's your first time or you're returning, you guys get something out of it and continue to come back. And I'm also the Toastmaster for the day, so I'll jump right into that role. And Toastmaster leads the meeting and makes sure it runs smoothly. And some housekeeping items, some quick Zoom etiquette. As you know, we are meeting online due to circumstances with COVID and classroom space is not being available. So we're Zoom. Some quick Zoom etiquette would be, please make sure your mic is always muted if you're not speaking. And we utilize the chat feature if you need anything. I think that's really it for Zoom etiquette. Just make sure you're muted always. And as I said before the meeting started, I'll just say it one more time, we have our agenda, keep us on track. Toastmaster meeting always has 3 sections: our prepared speeches, our table topic section, and then our evaluation section. And the part that all guests can take part of and members will be the table topics, which is a 1 to 2 minute impromptu speech. And our table talks master will go into more detail of that. And I think we're ready to introduce our reporter roles. So first, I'd like to call up our grammarian, actually, who is Kaylee, a guest. Kaylee, can you introduce what your role is?
Thank you, Noah. Hello, everyone. My name is Kaylee Kim. I will be the grammarian of this meeting today. So for my role, I believe, as it was explained to me, is just to overall take a gander at everyone's grammar as they use it in their speeches, if they have any run-on sentences, or if I find something that was very well used, then I'll mention it at the when the grammarian takes a report. Also, if anyone uses the word ascertain, we can all just give them a thumbs up in the reactions section. I believe that was it.
Thank you. You did a fantastic job. And I'll call on our next reporter, which is the AW counter. Today, our AW counter is Tricia Perez.
Thank you, Slate. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. If you have been back to our meeting, and my role as counter, I'll be keeping track of filler words used in the meeting, whether that's ums, us, likes, so's, extended ands, anything that creates a bit of a pause in your speech. And then at the end of the meeting, I will be reporting back which were the most commonly used filler words, as well as the tally for those words. And back to you, Slate.
Thank you, Tricia. And our last reporter for today is the timer, who's another guest, Cassidy. Cassidy, can you introduce what you'll be doing as timer and the specifics, what speakers can look out?
Sure. So as timer, I'm going to be keeping track of how long everyone is speaking for. At different times within people's speeches, I'll be putting in the chat. So for the planned speeches, I'll be putting 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and 7 minutes in the chat to let the speakers know the different ends of the 5 to 7 minute time range. For the table topics, which are 1 to 2 minutes, I'll be putting 1 minute, 1 minute 30, and 2 minutes in the chat. And then for the evaluations, which are 2 to 3 minutes, I'll be putting 2 minutes, 2:30, and 3 minutes in the chat. And at the end of each person speaking, I'll also put in the chat the final time that their speech or their table topic ended up being.
Thank you, Cassidy. That was a very thorough job and timer. So make sure to look for those times if you're doing any speaking roles. And that concludes our reporters. And a couple last minute things. As you might start to notice, we have these little clapping reactions. Whenever we are in in-person meetings, we're really big on shaking hands. And obviously in the very unique world we're in, shaking hands is a big no-no. It's hard to wrap your head around. So in place of that, try and keep the connection going. There should be a little reactions button at the bottom of your Zoom, and you can just do a clapping emoji to simulate handshaking. And so whenever you rotate any speaking role whatsoever, we just do that. And also, just say again, for the word of the day, we use the thumbs up. And with that, we're going to jump right into it, get started with our prepared speeches. Our first speaker today is Sourin Paturi, giving his speech, What Does It Mean to Be a Leader? And Sourin, you can start whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Slate. And now I'm going to begin speaking about what it means to be a leader. Now, getting that out of the way, let's consider what exactly is a leader. A leader is someone who helps inspire a large group of people to get things done, or is able to get people together in order to come up with a single solution to put forth. Now, oftentimes we wonder what makes a leader different from a boss, for example. So a boss is someone that simply tries to point you around, do this, do that. You probably experienced it if you've been in some sort of group setting, maybe like a group project, right? So imagine like science class and the teacher splits you up into different groups. And you have that one group member that always tells everyone else what to do. They probably try to take majority of the credit. They probably try to do majority of the work. So that's more along the lines of a boss. But a leader would be someone that takes input from everybody. The leader has to ascertain where each person has their strengths and where they have their weaknesses, and it's able to find that good blend in order to really succeed. So the reason I bring up leadership, so I wasn't really planning on talking about leadership today, but the reason I brought this up was due to the fact that this is the very first Toastmasters meeting with all of the new guests. So I want to talk about the benefits of public speaking and leadership specifically. So many leaders have the knack of being good speakers, whether it be presidents, whether it be religious leaders. You've definitely seen how having the ability to speak or convey yourself to a larger group of audience allows you to really get your message across and trying to inspire them. So improving your speaking ability can really help you do that. And so when you're speaking and trying to reach a larger group of audiences or a larger group of people, you want to try and make things relatable to them. Makes it so that they can see themselves not just as the follower, but also as the leader. And we have this idea within our heads, I can't do it. I can't be the leader. I don't know what I'm doing. And we always get like kind of afraid when we're given responsibilities. I know that when my parents, for example, they're like, go take out the trash or do the dishes, I just always be like, I have other work. I just don't want to do it. I always try to create these excuses in my head to try to limit myself. But a leader really takes responsibility and tries to go ahead and do what must be done without making all these excuses. So case in point, for example, in one of my classes, my accounting class, for example, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a leader because I'm going to be try to be a humble guy in that aspect. But when it comes to leadership, you want to try to get all your group members working together. And I know that from my standpoint, I was able to do that. So in my head, I'm a leader. And in my vision on how the group is supposed to best work together, you need to have really good communication. So with my group, for example, we met over Zoom, we discussed the problems. If anyone didn't have any questions, I helped them through it. So I think the real benefit or the benefit of a leader necessarily is to try to guide the followers in order to get things done, in order to get them on the right path, in order to do all sorts of things. And this is really the fundamental idea of the leader. The leader shouldn't be the guy that tells you what to do. That's a boss. If you, for example, take a job or an internship and the person above you simply tells you what to do, doesn't necessarily direct you, and is maybe, I wouldn't say rude or arrogant in that aspect, but let's say they aren't as forthcoming with your requests, I wouldn't necessarily call them a leader. A leader is someone that reaches out to you, tries to check on how you're doing, tries to go about, make it their priority to care about you and how you can be a member of this group. Because the leader is simply just another member of the group. They're not special. They're not somehow above the hierarchy, below that. It doesn't matter. Everyone is the same in the group. The leader has to be equivalent to everyone in the group and help lead. And so speaking and being able to convey your message through oratory means really helps you become a better leader and able to construct a willful argument on any given end. And so that's what I'm basically doing here today. I'm trying to convince you guys on the various definitions of being a leader and how Toastmasters, for example, can make you a better leader. So take it from me. When I first started Toastmasters as a freshman, I would say okay at speaking. I think all of us think we're okay at things before we try them. So I was okay at speaking. And then I started Toastmasters, and at first it was like, I have to give a speech about something. This is going to be hard. And I didn't really know how to really construct this in a imaginative way to get people to laugh, to get people to cry. I'm not really an emotional guy in my own end. So I was like, how am I going to lead these people into my imagination, into my world? So in order to do that, I had to adapt. I had to walk on stage. I mean, I can't walk on stage right now since we're on a computer, but imagine if I was walking, right? That would make it even better, like more of a nuanced speech. But speaking generally, I feel that Toastmasters can really help make you a better leader and help you take charge, really. Instead of being just another follower, you can maybe help direct a team. Maybe you can help be the vision that you want to see. Don't rely on other people to step forward and get things done. Why don't you step forward? Why don't you stop being the person that doesn't want to open the door? Open that door and take the next step. And I think that Toastmasters and generally public speaking as a whole can really help you. Thank you.
Thanks, Soren. A great speech on leadership. I really enjoyed it. And now, at this time, whenever prepared speech is over, we give 45 seconds to leave any feedback for the speaker. And normally, in an in-person classroom, we have feedback slips on paper that you can send them in anonymously. Currently, what we're doing on the Zoom setting is just utilizing the chat. What you do is go down where it says to, and instead of having it on everyone, place it to the speaker, which would be Sourin Paturi. And then from there, you can leave any feedback you had for him, whether it be something you thought he did really well, like I thought he did his gestures really well with his speech, or something he could improve on and recommend to improve on for his next speech. And so we'll do that for the next speaker. And so we'll go ahead and just start that time now. And after all the speakers are done, we actually vote for best speaker. And I'll go into that after our next speaker is over.
Scott, is it Scott's turn to speak?
Yes. We're just
Okay.
finishing up the feedback time. Yep, Scott will be next. All right. Moving on to our second speaker of the day, it is Scott Alexander. He'll be giving his speech, Britain and America, an Unequal Marriage. This is part of his research and presenting speech. Scott, whenever you're ready, you can start.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Slate. Appreciate it, man. Hey, everyone. It's a pleasure to speak with you guys. So for tonight's speech, I was going to be talking about something that I think is interesting, and hopefully, I hope that the rest of you guys will be interested in. Britain and America, an unequal marriage. We must not discount our relationship to the United States and Canada. This paraphrase quote is spoken by Winston Churchill, has been used by British and American politicians alike to suggest that the United States and the United Kingdom of Great Britain have an especially close relationship. But is that relationship necessarily a close one based on friendship? No. In fact, I'm here to tell with y'all that the relationship between Britain and America is not one based on a happy marriage, but actually based on a much more cold, calculating marriage. And to further illustrate, one only needs to look at what has happened in the recent past and even in recent current events to drive home this point. So let's start, especially as we look back 75 years from today, that one event claimed to be the mark of America and Britain's close relationship: World War II. It is when it comes to the Second World War, it's always assumed that America and Britain were, for that point, close friends. Hence, the close relationship between Franklin Roosevelt and Winston Churchill. But it was not always entirely friendly. Far from it. For instance, leading up to the war, the Roosevelt administration's cash and carry program made this bargain to Britain. It would essentially give Britain anything it needed to continue fighting in the war: arms, ammunition, supplies. But in exchange for that, it required Britain to give up a good majority of its naval and military bases, first in the Caribbean, and eventually extending to what was then the largest empire in world history up to that point. So overall, you do see America showing its hand, wanting to succeed the British Empire as the greatest Western power up to that point. Moving forward, think also back to that wonderful document praised to this day, the 1941 Atlantic Charter, signed by Roosevelt and Churchill. While most people remember its stance against the aggressors, Nazi Germany, Imperial Japan, what most people forget though was the clause in the agreement emphasizing self-determination. Now, for the imperialist Churchill, who went to war for the sake of saving the British Empire, this was not only a complete blow, but you could argue a complete stab in the back by Roosevelt, demanding that the British give up their entire empire. Right. Moving forward to another period that may seem distant to us, the 1950s, but also another indication that America and Britain have never really been close friends, but more as partners of convenience. Namely, the Suez Crisis of 1956, when Britain, along with France and Israel, tried to reclaim the Suez Canal from an increasing nationalist Egypt. Now, at the time, America was not only happy with it, but in recent evidence proven by Princeton University shows a conversation by John Foster Dulles, the then Secretary of State, and the then head of the Navy, Admiral Burke. Now, I hope you all don't mind if I use expletives here. I'll try to be as clean as possible. But according to Admiral Burke's conversation with John Foster Dulles, when he sees the Royal Navy approaching Egypt, Burke is adamant to John Foster Dulles, Mr. Secretary, if we have to, we can blast the hell out of them out of the water. We can do it. Blast the hell out of them. Now, is that really something that you say to a close friend? Well, it indicated that Britain's time as a great power was up, and that if they were to make any decisions on the world stage, it would be only at the consultation with America. But if people are still not convinced, one only needs to look at recent events, such as the Iraq War. According to people who worked with then British Prime Minister Tony Blair, the British supposedly persuaded the administration of George W. Bush to go to the UN General Security Council to get approval for the Iraq War. Well, even after that, first of all, the UN Security Council rejected America's proposals against Iraq, and even afterwards, the Americans going against the UN still pressured Britain to supply its military in the conflict, which Blair had done without any qualms. So in the end, the relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom is one of an unequal marriage. It's not one of equals. The incidents of the Second World War and the Suez Crisis indicates that America was prepared to force Britain to give up its world power status, and secondly, to always relegate it to a junior partner. The Iraq War indicates that America, on the surface, was willing to consult with its supposed closest ally, Britain, but in truth was willing to discount that advice and make their own decisions. To close, I'll quote a well-known journalist, Peter Hitchens, who was asked the question about America's special relationship. Special, certainly, but friendly, no. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Scott. I enjoyed your speech, and I look forward to giving your evaluation, as I'm also your evaluator today.
Well, thanks, sir.
We'll also take this time, give a quick 45 seconds, leave any feedback the same way we did for our first speaker, Sourin, in the chat feature. Make sure you do it only to Scott. And you can just leave anything if you thought it was something you did great, part you really liked, or something you think you can improve on. And we can also take this time, see, Noah, are you here? We can talk about how voting works.
Yes.
So if you wanna, can you just go over that for them? How to send the votes? We just finished our second speech.
Okay, so now that we have two speakers, you guys will have the choice to choose our first, which is our best speaker, and our second, which is our second best speaker. And you guys can just send them directly to me. You have to send it privately under the chat. So when you go to the chat, make sure you click my name and just send in your vote. Like, who do you feel was the best speaker, and then who do you feel was second? And you would do the same thing for our table topics when we get to those as well.
Thanks, Noah. As well as evaluator, because we have two evaluators today. And we'll tally those up and give the results at the end of the meeting. Go ahead and give another 30 seconds to finish up your vote between either Sourin or Scott for best speaker. And then we'll move on to the second portion of our meeting. Courtney, you can go ahead and start trying out the screen share, make sure it's working if you need to.